Hello, what is up, my fellow small business supporters? Savvy's here, and today I am doing another collab. I have an awesome guest with me today, Lillian Lalo. She is the host of a podcast called Toxic Positivity. So on this channel in the past, we've discussed what toxic positivity is, and today I want to ask her some questions about her podcast, about the concept of toxic positivity and what it means to her and why it's important to talk about it, and how this also kind of applies to the multi-level marketing world, because on this channel, we talk about MLM companies because they exploit a lot of creative people, they exploit a lot of self-starters, and we are all small business supporters here who support legitimate, actual small businesses like many of us are in as authors. To get started, Lillian, hello, thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm honored to be on your channel. I love your videos. I've recently discovered them and they're so fun to watch.
Thank you. So I guess tell everyone about your podcast. What kind of stuff do you cover? I guess what inspired it? Just tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I started an Instagram account back in August, and I at first was kind of going to make it just things that I loved. I named the Instagram account Lillian Lalo Loves, and it was just going to be all the different stuff that made me happy. And slowly I just kind of started getting this like feeling in my heart that I needed to start speaking out against MLMs. And what really got me really passionate about it is that after I had my son almost 2 years ago, I started getting messages of people sort of mom shaming me, saying, don't you want to start your own business so you don't have to leave your baby? And of course, I was very sensitive to that, especially being like so newly postpartum. I was really kind of feeling the baby blues or whatever. And so I really considered it for a while. And I've been a journalist my professional life. That's what I went to school for. And so I started kind of like digging into the whole concept of multi-level marketing, and I found these incredible, podcasts like The Dream. I also found Reddit's Anti-MLM page, and I just started pouring myself into it. And I was like, this is what makes me feel just very fulfilled when I'm able to help people learn that MLMs are not this amazing, perfect butterflies and sunshine option. MLMs are the opposite. Mm-hmm. And I feel very called to do this. And so I'm just kind of using my journalism background to kind of guide the way. And I write all of my podcasts first. I write them out and kind of try to get my thoughts in order before I record. So it's very concise. And I'm just having a great time with it.
That's awesome. I think I've heard a lot of people have that be that kind of their inspiration for joining the anti-MLM world. The fact that like they were getting mom shamed, because from the MLM perspective, it's like, okay, well, if you're a stay-at-home mom, like, don't you want to make more money for your family? Don't you want your kids to have a better financial background? And then if it's like you're a working mom, it's like, don't you want to be at home with them? And it's just like you can't win as a mom. And I hate that they try to capitalize on that. Plus, it's important for everyone who wants to own a small business or who does, you're not going to have more time with your family when you run a small business. That is the biggest lie. And I'm writing about this in the book that I'm working on right now. The fact that there's so many people trying to sell people on the idea of, if you work from home, you'll spend more time with your kids, which like, that's not true. Like, just because I think a lot of people know from like, we're all stuck in this quarantine right now. A lot of people are working from home. And it's like, you still have to do your job. And in fact, if you own your own business, you're probably like statistically, I think you work like 1.5 times as much as somebody who works a regular full-time workload. So the average small business owner works like 60 hours a week. So even if your small business is from home, you're not going to actually, like, that's just a lie. And even in MLMs, you see posts from moms being like, I'm so glad I can work while I'm in labor. I'm so glad I can work while I'm getting my surgery done. It's like, no,
that's horrible.
You should never work during those times.
I know that
I'm a workaholic, and even I wouldn't work during, like, if I have to get a medical procedure done, I'm like, I'm not working today.
Right, that's not a blessing.
I have to take care of my physical health. Yeah. So it's like, no, I hate that lie. Working, just because you work from home does not mean that you're gonna suddenly magically get more time with the people in your family. That's a lie. It's never gonna
right. And then I'd like to make the argument too that, you know, so my job, I'm a contractor, and so I get hired out on a contract basis for projects. And when I get to leave and go do a project, go do a shoot, it is so great. It is like such a wonderful thing, because I get a break. It's so fun. I'm doing what I love, and it's amazing and wonderful. And I think that, you know, staying home, that's a lot of work. I mean, that's a lot, and it's not necessarily the right, most idyllic answer for every person in every circumstance. So, I mean, that sales tactic, you know, like you're saying, it has some holes in it.
Definitely. So, like, I like that the main topic of your podcast is this idea of toxic positivity, because we've been hearing more about this, I guess, mostly since the anti-MLM movement sprung up, because there's a whole lot, and not just in MLMs, but also in all of those kind of weird business ventures, the entrepreneurs that try to sell the idea of entrepreneurship to other people. There's a lot of this whole mindset of, you cannot be negative. If you are negative, you have already lost. You have to have positive vibes only. So from your perspective, why do you think that toxic positivity is an important thing that we need to talk about?
Well, I just think it applies so much in this day and age. Like books like The Secret, which I loved The Secret, like that's fun, but it's kind of like, as a society, we've kind of like cranked that way up, and we're all just like, oh my gosh, if I think a negative thought, I'm going to manifest my life into this horrible place, or and it's so bad, because humans need to feel negative emotions. There's an incredible Psychology Today article, and I wish I could remember the name of the author, but I list it, I think in my first podcast. But this article basically breaks down exactly why, you know, human brains have to process negative emotions and know that it's okay to feel sad and mad. And that's normal. That's part of being a human. And if you're constantly squelching that and thinking, oh, I got to think positive, I can't think negative, I got to power through, I got to wake up 2 hours early, I got to work out every single day, I have to eat healthy every single day, or I'm just going to fail. And that's just not a sustainable way to live and live a full, happy life. Like, you're just taking up so much precious brain space and time when you're just so focused on staying positive. And that's when it just becomes this just like toxic level, this toxic positivity. And I can't remember the first place that I heard that term, but when I heard it, I was like, this is perfect. I love it, because it's exactly what I see. And you just see it a lot in the whole influencer culture. You know, all of the girls on Instagram, you know, oh, my life is so great, you know, or they kind of have this like manufactured imperfection, you know, I don't know.
That was a thing that I talked about so I did my video essay on Rachel Hollis, and how she started off as an indie author and then kind of went down this path of talking to multi-level marketing audiences and that kind of thing, and how it was bad. But this one article that I referenced, I think it was by a woman named Laura Turner, and it was called Girl Wash Your Face is a bestseller with a dark message. And
yes, I've read that. I love it.
It talked about curated imperfection, the idea that like on Instagram or on social media, a lot of, you know, bigger influencers they don't want to look too perfect, because then you won't connect with them. They want to show that they're still a person like you. So they show imperfections, but they'll never show the full imperfection,
Right.
because then you wouldn't idolize them the same way. So it's like, if Rachel or if another influencer, you know, is like, oh my God, I'm so messy today, but it's like, it's never going to be that bad. You're never going to see a house that looks like a hoarder's. Or if they're like, I'm so sweaty after I came back from the gym, you know, they'll be
perfect.
They'll be sweaty, you know, a little bit, so that, you know, you don't think they're just lying, but like, they'll still look better than any of us would coming back from the gym. So it's like, they're trying to like kind of toe the line of like, look, see, I'm not perfect, we can be friends. And as a result, it just makes the average person feel like, okay, this person's imperfect too, but if I'm also imperfect, then I need to reach their level of imperfection instead of the shitty one I'm currently living through.
Right. It's like this.
That's how I see it.
Perfectly imperfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, like I'm so bad today. I'm eating a carrot with dressing or instead of raw. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh.
It's like, oh my God, you're not snorting coke off a hooker. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not doing anything bad. And yeah, I just think that whole idea of like, and I guess this is the part that always gets to me, is this idea that a lot of business gurus promote, which is that if you're a business owner, you have no time for negativity, which is false. I'm a business owner and I complain on the internet all the time. And in fact, it helps me because people will subscribe to my channel because they like hearing me complain, and then they'll learn about my business. So I would say I do have time to complain as a business owner. But there are a lot of gurus. Rachel Hollis is one of them. Another one I've heard say this is Gary Vaynerchuk, who I haven't actually talked about on my channel yet because I don't hate him. I think he has some really good ideas. But that's the one thing I don't like about him. People who come out here and say, you have no time to be negative. You have no time to criticize other business owners. You have no time to do this. And it's like, you don't have to be positive about everything. You can criticize other people. You can criticize yourself. You can criticize someone else. That's okay. And I think that when people say that you can't criticize other people, that you have to be positive, it feels manipulative to me. I don't know if it's intended that way, but it's the idea that like, I don't criticize other people, therefore you criticize other people makes you a less ethical person than I am.
Yeah.
I've had some of Rachel Hollis's fans say that to me on YouTube, being like, you should be more like Rachel and not criticize other women. Why don't you lift up other women in business? Like, I literally do. I have a Facebook group for female business owners, and
well, I like what we were talking about before you started recording. It's like, you know, being a critic is a genre. It's okay to question. It's okay to criticize. And especially because I believe you do it in a balanced way. Like you even, you know, mention the things that you do like about her and you do respect about her. Everyone needs critics. Everyone needs to be challenged. I think when we start just blindly following people and not questioning them, that's when it gets dangerous, you know?
And I've said this before, because like I'm an author. I have my books. You can look at them on Goodreads. Every once in a while, someone didn't like something about it. That's good. Not if I wrote a book that literally everyone liked, that would mean that only like 2 people would have ever read the book, and it's perfect, exact target audience, you know?
Right.
So I kind of like seeing that. If someone gives me a negative review, I'm usually like, thank you for the review. 1, because even if the review is negative, it still boosts me in the algorithm. And 2, because it's showing me that my work is reaching people outside of my immediate echo chamber, which means I'm starting to have a bigger influence. And I think that's a win. It's not a win if you get all your reviews are negative, then you're like, okay, well, maybe I did something wrong. But, having a few people saying they didn't like something, I think can be a good thing. And it's good for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I hope people that, maybe if Rachel Hollis fans, listen to your videos and stuff, you could always like learn from anyone. And so it's like, even if you love Rachel Hollis, that's okay. But it's great to hear the criticism with anybody. There's 2 sides to every coin, or whatever the saying is. And I minored in art when I was getting my undergraduate degree.
Oh, cool.
And one of our big things is that for our exams, they were just these really long art critiques. So we'd be in there for hours critiquing each other's art. And I always loved the critiques because, you know, people were able to say, you know, I really love this about your work. I love this spot. One place I would have done, you know, different would be up in this corner. I might have made it darker to give it more depth or whatever. And it was just fascinating because you would hear from the whole class criticism, but it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't personal. And it really helped me kind of learn how to be a critic, like you were saying. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's important. And yeah, that's part of why I have a problem with toxic positivity, because it takes this idea of, okay, I'm going to do this video criticizing something, and then it's like, you're being a hater.
right.
I'm not a hater. I just disagreed with this part of what they're saying. I made it clear. I'm like, if I were a hater, I would come on my videos about Rachel Hollis and just be like, I hate you, Rachel, suck my dick. But I'm not like that, because I don't hate her. I just have different opinions on the things she's doing.
Right.
So I try to explain those.
What's interesting, if you listen to my podcast episode episode 2, I kind of talk about like the cult mind control, cult stuff that kind of happens within MLMs and the world of toxic positivity. And the term, when they immediately call you a hater, especially in the MLM world, if they, you know, hear something and it creates this cognitive dissonance in their brain, and they say, oh, you're just a hater, you don't want me to succeed, or whatever, or you're just a hater, you don't like Rachel Hollis, like, because you're a bad person. When they do that, it's a thought stopping technique. And that's what this really cool guy named Steven Hassan, he's just a cool guy. He was a member of the Moonies cult. And he escaped. He got deprogrammed. His parents helped to get him out. And so now he's like this cult expert, and he teaches this model called the BITE model.
Okay, that's where I know him from. It's from the BITE model. Okay, awesome.
He's so cool. He's such a cool guy. And so I believe that, like, when people say hater, that's I think that would be a thought control, because it's immediate thought stopping. If you hear something that doesn't sit right, makes you like start maybe having critical thought, if you're able to just be like, oh, that person's a hater, and block them out, then that thought's gone, you know? And so you can kind of hear when people are calling you a hater, if you can kind of like reprogram your mind to be like, whoa, like they're under some undue influence, mind control right now, because they can't even hear what you're saying without just stopping those thoughts. So it's kind of an interesting twist on when you hear reactions like that.
And I think that's where, like, this concept of toxic positivity, when it gets taken too far, is kind of when you see generally in MLMs, I won't, you know, officially say this MLM is a cult or whatever, because I don't want to get accused of slander. This is all just my opinion, guys. But sometimes, you know, you've got the companies that say, you know, this business is going to be hard, but you have to stay positive. You might have family and friends that try to tell you that this isn't a good business, but they're telling you that because they don't understand and they don't believe in you enough and they don't want you to succeed. So if they don't have constantly positive thoughts, then you need to ignore them. And that's just one of the tactics that the companies will use to get people to not listen to their friends and family. Because, right, that's like the social isolation thing that cults like to do, where it's like, if you have friends and family outside of the cult, they could convince you to leave the cult. But if you if you cut those people out of your life, then the only people you listen to are the cult people, and that's all you're surrounded with. So you have no hope to leave. And in MLM, they make money off of that. So, yeah.
It's insider versus outsider doctrine.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you are in black and white thinking. So it's like, if you are listening to outsiders, they don't understand. They're not part of this group. They're haters. They don't want you to succeed. They're bad. We're good. We're the only people that do support you, that we are on your team. And it's so scary, because to me, I feel like MLMs are these modern day cults. You know, when I think of cults, I used to think of like the horrible Jonestown massacre, you know, that's where the drink the Kool-Aid comes from, which is just a horrible story. But I used to just only think about that. And I was like, oh, well, cults don't exist anymore. That was like a thing in the 70s. But these MLMs are modern day cults, and all these people that are our friends and loved ones are getting sucked in, and it's so scary. And I just did a post the other day on my Instagram saying, talk to new moms before they get recruited. Talk to high schoolers before they get recruited away in college. Like, help people before they fall victim to these scams.
Absolutely. And that's, I did a video about Tony Robbins the other week talking about how I kind of think he's kind of getting into the cult territory as well.
Yeah,
and I guess, he has been around for decades, so he's been doing this forever, but like he definitely does have things that fit into that bite model the way, first of all, his audience pays so much money to come see him speak, so it's already a sunk cost there.
Right.
And okay, at this point, I better listen to what this guy says because I paid so much to get his advice. And then you get his advice and he starts controlling you right then and there and telling you which people to cut out of your life and telling you, and it's like, whoa, dude, like,
Did you watch the documentary on Netflix?
Yeah, so that's it. I just put it on my channel the other week. I recommend it. It's I don't recommend the documentary, but I recommend if you watch the video. My friend Monica, who's also in the anti-MLM community, she and I watched the documentary together and broke it down, and like,
oh, I'm gonna go watch that. It
got demonetized because Netflix decided to claim it gets all the profits from my video because I use so many clips of the documentary.
Oh, wow.
So that was frustrating, but I don't care. People should still.
Well, watch it because, I mean, the more awareness you can spread. And what those are called large group awareness trainings.
Oh, okay.
And basically it is a form of mind control and undue influence because they use, like, he uses these shock tactics and screams at people and cusses at them. And
like there was this part where he tells this girl's mom, he calls her, he's like, you fucking whore, to like this girl's mom, who had just admitted that her daughter had died a couple years ago, and like it was this sad moment, and he's like, oh, are you gonna listen to this fucking whore? So he's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, he's I think anytime someone is put up on this huge pedestal and kind of treated like a god, I just that's red flag central for me. Yeah. It's like,
oh yeah,
warning, like if people are worshiping this guy, let's tone it down and figure out what's going on here.
Right. And
so I'm gonna go watch your video. I'm sorry you don't get any ad revenue.
No, don't worry about it. Yeah, just I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, it was fun to make. But yeah, I think he's a terrifying guy, and like, I don't mind the yell. I yell and swear all the time, even on my channel, even in my videos. But like, it's about the context, right? The way he's doing it is yelling in people's faces and telling them to cut people out of their lives, which is, I think, very different than just complaining about something.
It's very scary, and I have a lot of friends, and one of my relatives is, in the mental health. She's a counselor, and that kind of stuff, the yelling and the shock tactics and the, screaming at these people that, he like had everyone raise their hand and ask who here is suicidal. And
that's
it's like
in the documentary. Yeah. And then like, I'm going to talk one-on-one to people who are suicidal. And the first girl he brings up, he's like, how old are you? And she's like, I'm 26. And he's like, you could take another 30 years of this.
Yeah.
First thing he says, I'm like, don't say that to someone who wants to commit suicide. What is wrong with you?
Yeah,
he uses so many tactics that he's not licensed for. Like, he acts like he's a therapist, but it's like, you do not have the credentials, you do not have the licensing to be giving this type of advice to people, to be almost diagnosing people in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so scary.
It's like the leader of Young Living, Gary Young, was, practicing medicine without a license, and now Tony Robbins is over here. He's practicing psychology without a license, and it's like, stop doing that. If you wanna treat people, go get licensed to do that. Go to medical school.
Right. There's a reason. Like, I've interviewed a nutritionist for one of my upcoming episodes, and she's like, she's not a nutritionist, sorry, a dietitian. There is a difference. A registered dietitian I mean, she was in classes with pre-med students.
Yeah.
You know, it is a serious title.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and then she says it's just so annoying when these people pay for a starter kit and then they start calling themselves a nutrition expert the next day. And she's been to years of school.
Yeah. So one of my friends, Jessica, I did a podcast interview with her that's on my channel. She's a makeup artist and she's a licensed esthetician and she does like makeup for movie sets and that kind of thing. So she went to like beauty school, she got licensed in makeup and skincare, and she learned all the safe and proper ways to do everything. And she gets so annoyed if you see someone from like Rodon and Fields who says like, oh, I'm a skincare expert now, I paid for the starter kit. And
Right.
no, like, she's like, people, they don't know what ingredients can work with what people's skin. Like, it's dangerous. People, they get, their skin gets hurt from it. You need to listen to someone who's licensed. Like, you can't just pay for a starter kit and start claiming, especially when it comes to like the health ones, the things that are like, I'm selling you these supplements and I know how it affects your body. Like, no, you don't. You didn't study this.
Yeah, it's just bad any way you look at it. It's just bad. And she was telling me her account on Instagram is the Sassy Dietitian, but she was telling me also that people that are in sports have to be really careful because, you know, they get drug tested. And if you don't know exactly what's in these like shake powders or these supplements you're taking, you know, you could get kicked out of a sport on accident because something could be said is like a sports enhancer drug or whatever, classified as that. She says it's very dangerous, it's very serious, and just steer clear of these MLM products that aren't vetted and okayed by the Food and Drug.
Like essential oils, there's people who say like, oh, you know, if your pet is stressed, like let them give the essential oil. And it's like, no, talk to a vet first. Maybe there's certain smells they can take, but animals, especially dogs and cats, they have very sensitive noses.
Yes.
If you're letting them breathe in certain oils, sometimes it makes them pass out. Sometimes it, you know, affects their brain. Sometimes they go into a coma. Like, you need to be very careful. Talk to the vet before you let your pet breathe in any weird smells.
Yes. There are certain essential oils I know that are very toxic to cats. I remember when I was a general assignment reporter, I was like pitching a story at our editorial meeting one day saying like, there's people online that are like, their cats have recently died because there was like this big thing about, you know, let them smell this or that and they will be better and more relaxed or whatever. And I think I pitched this story, I can't remember if we did it or not, but it was like this big issue. This was a few years ago, so I don't know, but it's really scary how people can. And I used to drink, like I remember I put lemon oil in my water and I would drink it because I was told that that's what you can do and it'll like detox your liver or whatever. And I was like drinking this lemon oil and it like burned my throat.
Yeah, that's the thing. People tell you you can eat the essential oils. Do not eat them.
Do not eat them.
Like, if you want to use essential oils to make your house smell good and it's you and you don't have a dog or a cat who could get hurt by it, like, do your thing. Do it safely. Don't eat them. Do not eat them. Don't put them on your skin. People like, I rub them on my skin and then they're like, look, my essential oil can burn through this plastic cup. And then I'm like, how about you don't put it on your skin then?
I know, it's so bad. And like doTERRA and Young Living, I don't think they ever say anywhere in their official product or their official Word documents or whatever they have published. I don't think they ever say it's okay to ingest or put them on your skin, but they don't condemn it when people are running with these crazy.
Yeah, like I did this video a while back because one of my friends and I read a book together that was written by a leader in Young Living. Like, she wrote a book and didn't mention that she was from Young Living. She just said this is like a business advice book for women. So we read this book and she was in Young Living, and then I found this interview with her on their website where she was talking about how every day after dinner she'll put oils under her tongue. I was like, oh my God. So I did like 3 exposing videos on her because like, again, like Rachel Hollis, this woman had a lot of things I liked about her. I thought she had a great writing voice. I liked that she was very body positive, which is not something you normally see in the MLM community. So that was nice. But the fact that she was like, yeah, you can eat these essential oils. And she is talking about how she became a millionaire in Young Living, and you find out she recruited 100,000 people.
Oh
and
my God.
Oh my God.
Oh,
No.
that makes me sick. Yeah. Like, and a lot of times they kind of, like, she could have been a millionaire in Young Living, but that could have been like her rank title or something. Like sometimes they're in like a millionaires club, but they make like $25,000 a year.
I believe her based on how many people are below her. So
yeah, she probably got in early.
I feel like she scammed her way to that money.
Yeah,
so.
that's, oh gosh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's like, okay, like if there are people that are making legitimate money where they don't have to have a job and all that kind of stuff, and they really have like made it, I would say that's okay, but can you sleep well at night knowing that everyone that's under you is losing money? Like you're scamming people.
I saw this interview, I don't remember where it was. I saw an interview with former Mary Kay representatives. I think I found it on the Pink Truth website.
Oh, I love that website.
Yeah, and they were talking, one woman, her quote was like, the money I did make, I made on the backs of other women. And so she feels guilty because it's like the people who do end up turning a profit, that small percentage, generally recruited thousands of people that lost money.
Exactly. That's why the whole business model is just flawed, and it needs to be questioned. It needs to be understood. People need to really, really know what they're getting into, and they don't. They think, oh, this income disclosure statement doesn't really apply to me. I don't really understand it, but I'm going to succeed because I have a positive attitude.
Yeah, that's not how
it doesn't work like that.
Especially because everyone in it has a positive attitude until they realize they're not making money. So, yeah.
Right. I'm just so glad that you're making videos. I feel like there's a really just great community in general in this like anti-MLM world.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of has like their niche and you know, what kind of the voice that they have and want to give to the movement. And so I just love anytime I find a YouTube channel. Like I love Kiki's, isn't that her name? And Kiki Chanel.
Yeah. I actually just put out a video today of anti-MLM channels I recommend. So
I love her. Okay, well, I'm gonna go watch that and
check that one out. There's a ton of them. There's so many great people in this community making amazing videos.
Yes, and it helps. I mean, it has to, because
it does. I think a lot of people have learned about the dangers of these companies from them.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Either that or have been able to help someone in their life get out of one or something.
Yes. So, I mean, the more truth and information you can put out there, the better. So keep doing it.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. They could find my podcast anywhere. I try to keep them very specific with, you know, themes like you do with your YouTube videos.
Yeah.
People can find them easily.
So your podcast is on iTunes, it's on Google Play, it's on Spotify.
Yes, it is everywhere. So it could actually be on YouTube. You might want to
I'll look it up. Is it on SoundCloud?
Yes, I use a company called Resonate Recordings, and they put it out for me on all platforms.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'll have to look into that because I right now I've done podcast recordings, but I have them only on YouTube.
Yeah,
I have just not taken the time to learn how to put them on other sites yet. So
yeah, that's why I found this company, and they're awesome. So yeah, look, I should be anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Fantastic.
And if I'm not, let me know.
So everyone watching, you can find Lillian's podcast on all the podcast platforms. I will link to it in the description below. I will also link to her Instagram page in the description below. She has a fantastic Instagram where she has lots of, you know, quotes and lots of good messages about, staying not toxically positive, kind of, having a good outlook, but being skeptical when you need to, because I think that's important. I think I'm a pretty positive person. I'm pretty high energy overall, but there are definitely times in life where we need to acknowledge that maybe something's not perfect and look at what we can take to change that. And that's why we don't need toxic positivity.
Exactly. I just appreciate you so much. Thank you for having me on, and I love your channel. It's just an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Don't forget to listen to Lillian's podcast and to subscribe to her podcast. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because every Monday and Friday we put out new videos about books, writing, small business owner life, and the anti-MLM world. And every Wednesday night we host a writer sleepover live stream. So if you want to write with us, then you can join us on Wednesday nights. I will see you guys all again soon, but in the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses. Happy Friday, everyone.
Bye.